Hey everybody, Kibo Homeboy here. Today I'm going to be showing you my Phoenix Strike Martial Arts Assassin, which I would say is a pretty unique build. Don't see it too often, so hopefully you enjoy this. I'll explain a little bit about the build first off. It's not, like I said, it's pretty unique. You don't see it too often, and that's because it's not one of your S tier builds, right? It's not going to be as good as your Hammered In or your Javazons or anything like that. But it is still pretty strong. I'm able to clear just about everything. Immunities aren't really an issue because you do 4 different types of damage between fire, cold, lightning, and physical. It's pretty flexible, so I like it. I'd probably give it a B+ in terms of like power compared to other builds. So let me go ahead and go to the gear here, and then I'll show you some gameplay, and you can kind of decide for yourself how you feel about it. Now, my gear in particular is on the higher end, so quite expensive, I would say, but I will give you budget options for each slot as well. You don't need all this gear. So for my claw, I am using a Plague in a Runic Talon base. The base has +2 to Phoenix Strike, +2 to Shadow Warrior, and 2 to Fade. It was also enhanced or superior. I don't remember how much ED it had on there, but the main thing you want with your Plague is to have as much to Phoenix Strike as possible, I would say. Everything else is kind of just gravy. Also, if you do use an enhanced or a superior base, be sure to hold Ort runes because this thing costs $1 million+ to repair. So expensive if you don't Ort rune it. If you use a regular base, you don't have to worry about that. Alternative budget options, I would just go with Bartux. Bartux works very well and it's dirt cheap, so no problem there. Just get Bartux if you can't afford a Plague. The Cham actually in the isn't that bad. The base was really hard for me to find. Like I tried trading for a good Runic Talon and it took a long time. I ended up finding this one. I couldn't trade for one. Give you an idea just how hard it is to find those. For the hat, I'm using an Andes Visage with a 15 attack speed fire res jewel in there. Alternative budget options, you could use like a G-Face or a Lore, a Shaco. There's a lot of stuff you could use here that'd be okay, but I think Andes is probably the best bet because the attack speed is really important and the skills are also very important. Not to mention the lifesteal and the strength, pretty good. For the amulet, I'm using Mara's. You can also use High Lords. They're probably roughly equal in terms of damage done. This one would give you a little bit more elemental damage and it also helps with the res a bit more. For budget, you could use like a Cat's Eye or any sort of like assassin skills yellow amulet would be fine. For armor, I'm using Enigma because, you know, it's Enigma. Very good. But if you can't afford Enigma, then go for a Treachery. Treachery will get you through the game, no problems. You can't teleport, which is unfortunate, but in terms of damage, Treachery is really good. My shield, I'm using a Phoenix. Basically everything on this shield is good for this build. The Redemption Aura helps with your mana issues, in that you have none if you have the shield on. The enhanced damage gives you extra physical, minus fire res helps with the fire element. Life and max lightning and fire res and absorb, everything works, so it's really good. Alternatively, you can use dual plagues, which in terms of damage is probably a bit higher. You'll do more damage with dual plagues, you'll just be a little bit less tanky. So you kind of choose your favorite between that. I'd be using dual plagues probably if I could find another good base, but like I said, they're really hard to get, so this is going to do the job for me just fine. Alternatively, you could also use dual Bartux, and that works. Like it's a super budget option and it works. My shoes are War Travelers, and you'll notice they are upgraded, so they have a higher strength requirement. I upgraded them because it increases the kick damage from Dragon Talon, so upgraded War Travs. You can also use Gore Riders if you care less about MF or whatever other boot. I mean, boots are pretty flexible. You can kind of use a lot of different boots. For my one amulet, it has the most important thing on here that for me is the mana leech, but you could also get a dual leech ring or like a BK ring will work. My belt is Arachnid's Mesh, also kind of flexible. You can use Nosferatu's Coil, String of Ears, Dungos, all sorts of things there. But I like the plus to all skills, and the SCR is also nice. Ravenfrost, I would say this one's pretty inflexible. You kind of need a Ravenfrost. If you don't have Cannot Be Frozen, you're gonna have a bad time, so I would recommend using that ring. For the gloves, I think Laying of Hands is very good. It's very cheap. It's a solid choice. Alternatively, you could use like a really good 220 yellow martial arts glove. It'd be a lot more expensive, and I'm not even sure if it'd be better, to be honest with you. I usually just stick with Laying of Hands. It's pretty budget too. As far as my charms, this is a MF focused build for me. So I'm using mostly MF charms here. I have a couple skillers and a Geeds, an Annie, and a Torch. If you were focused less on MF, I would get martial arts across the board and as close to 3 20/20s as you could find. On my offhand, I got Call to Arms and Spirit, so nothing unique there. That's just, you know, pretty standard, I would say. As far as my Mercenaries Gear goes, he's using an Infinity and an Eth Man Catcher, a Eth Fortitude, and a Andes. So if you're on a budget, make that a Insight, a Treachery, and whatever hat with Lifesteal you can get on it, and that'll be just fine. He's also Blessed Aim. This build struggles with attack rating quite a bit, so that's why I go for Blessed Aim. It helps a lot. You can see my attack rating is only 7k-ish, so I definitely need that attack rating. Alright, so as far as stats goes, Strength, I don't need any points into Strength. Between Enigma and Andes here, I'm more than covered. Dex, I have some points into there. I mostly put them in just for a little bit of extra attack rating because I don't really need that much dex for anything here. You need enough dex to equip your plague, basically. 115, but outside of that you don't need a whole lot. But I still recommend putting a little bit into there just for more attack rating because I don't think the life is that low. The rest goes into vitality, so you kind of choose your balance between vitality and dex. Your call. You just want to make sure you feel safe. After I cast Fade here, you can see my resistances are solid. 85 lightning or fire, 85 poison, 77 lightning, 75 cold, so not bad at all. And if I got a couple MF lightning res charms, then that lightning res would be higher as well. It's not entirely at its cap. It could be at 80, so that is the gear in the Mercenaries Gear. Quite expensive, but I did give budget options and they do work. So as far as the martial arts tree, this is where most of your stuff is. Phoenix Strike is our main move, so we're maxing this in its synergies, which is the whole left side here. So I'm maxing out Fist of Fire, Claws of Thunder, Blades of Ice, and Phoenix Strike. Putting 1 point into Dragon Talon. If you're not using Enigma, I would put a point into Dragonflight to get that teleport. If you are using Enigma, I don't think it's quite necessary. For Shadow Disciplines, I like to put 1 point into everything here. And then my remaining points, I've been sticking into Claw Mastery for a little bit more attack rating. But there's a lot of really good stuff on this tree that I actually use. Cloak of Shadows is probably my favorite one because it'll save you from souls and a lot of other very deadly giant groups because it blinds everybody, so really nice. Mind Blast will also stun enemies, so pretty good. Shadow Master is pretty useful as well because he does all sorts of stuff. He'll cast Mind Blast, he'll cast some traps every now and then, and Venom just does a little bit extra damage, so why not? As far as traps, you want 1 point into Death Sentry, and that's all you really need here. So let me kind of show you how this plays. My favorite spots to magic find on this guy are the pits and probably Arachnid's Lair. Cows is also really good because of Death Sentry, so you can go there as well. I'm grail hunting and cows can't drop anything else I need, so I usually spend most of my time in the pits. But you can go pretty much everywhere. I'd say the pits and Arachnid's Lair are probably my favorite because of just how easy and quick they are, but this guy can kill Chaos, he can kill Bale, so it's kind of where you want to go. So let me show you how. So visually you can see it's very hectic. There's stuff everywhere, right? Between the poison novas, all the elements, you really can't see anything going on. So you kind of, I would say it's a higher skill cap than a lot of other heroes because you do have to pay more attention to what you're doing. So the way it works, you might have noticed there's a little bit of a build up. So right now I have no charges. In order for this to work, I have to hit 3 times. And you can't see the charges on me because there's so much screen clutter, right? But now I have these little blue balls. So I have 3 charges. As soon as I use a kick, it will unleash all the charges. So let's kick somebody. There we go. So after I use the charges, most dudes will die. And that's how this works. Now when you're actually playing, you can almost never see how many charges you have. So you kind of just have to guesstimate. I usually say, you know, right click 3-ish times. And then cast your finisher, and then you're good. That's how I handle it. Could probably use some quality of life buffs though to make it a little bit easier to use. I won't deny. It's a little complicated, but if you like a complicated build, this could be fun for you. You also notice I haven't used Death Sentry yet. In the pits, I feel like it's not super important. Whenever you're killing monsters that are harder to kill, Death Sentry becomes much more important. But if I just drop a couple and then I start killing, Death Sentry does a lot of damage, especially in places like cows. So if you're in cows, I would like get your charges, kill a couple cows, and then drop some Death Sentries, and that's going to be your fastest way to kill everybody because it will just clear the screen, basically. Same with Chaos. You're going to want to drop those death sentries, or else you're going to slow yourself down quite a bit. But yeah, you see I'm not really struggling here at all. Pretty easy. I'll show you a chaos run too, just because pits is not the most difficult area to clear. Without the infinity, it does slow down a bit. I won't deny, but it's still doable. Like if I didn't have infinity, I probably would stick to areas like the pits. I wouldn't come to chaos and stuff, but with infinity, this becomes much more doable. Alright, so I can drop a couple traps, then I kill a few, and you'll see they start just popping real quick. Kill a few of these guys, no problem. I don't kill everybody. I usually, if I don't see a unique monster, then I usually won't stop for them. But you can do full clears if you want. That's your call. But this guy's immune to physical, so he may take an extra minute to kill. Physical on fire. There we go. But no matter what, if they're immune to something, they're not going to be immune to all of the things, right? So you have a way to kill everybody, even if sometimes it's slower. If they're fire is probably our least damaging. Well, no, physical. I don't know. Either fire or physical. The reason I say one of those is our least damaging abilities is because the fire, it comes in the form of a meteor, and the meteor takes forever to land. So unless you're killing bosses, a lot of the time the meteor lands after they're already dead. And the physical damage just isn't that high on this build. It's okay. It's enough to keep you alive. Alright. Easy peasy. Let's hit these seals. Kill these corpses. Pop the seal, then drop these sentries. Should speed this up pretty quick. Be careful when kicking the vizier because it does push him back a little bit. You don't want to kick him off the ledge. If you kick him off the ledge, he's not going to drop anything for you. I've done that numerous times. A little annoying. Luckily I haven't lost anything crazy good doing so. Make sure you keep fade up, because as soon as fade goes down, your resistances go way down. This is players 1. I would say this is more of a players 1 build. It's a martial arts assassin. It's not a Hammerin. It's not really made for players 8. Although if you care less about MF, this guy can handle players 8 in certain zones. Like if you stack all skillers instead of MF charms and all that fun stuff, and you want to go do like the pits, you should be fine. Or you could do cows as well, as long as you really utilize your death sentry. You'll be doing okay. But players 1 is probably more ideal. You may have noticed there on the Decisive pack, I actually use Cloak of Shadows. It's a really good move for safety. It will keep them from giving you the beat down. So I would recommend using Cloak of Shadows, especially against souls. It counters them pretty hard. Okay, drop a few sentries. Don't want to let my mercenary die because it's much slower without him. Not only because of the infinity, but because of the blessed aim as well. If I miss a lot, it's quite annoying. Alright. Uh-oh, lag spike. I've been getting lag spikes these last couple weeks. I'm pretty sure it's because of Blizzard working on PTR stuff, because that's supposed to happen soon. I'm pretty sure that's why, because it wasn't a problem before. Alright, so bosses, you can see are pretty quick. If they don't move, they die quite quickly because the meteor. If they move around, it's a bit slower than that, but still not bad. So that's a Diablo kill, or a chaos run. Not bad, right? For what it is. And this is a build you're very rarely going to see. I think it looks super cool, and it's very unique. Not many people play it, so I like it. You can try it out if you want. Either way, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I will see y'all around.